I'm kind of losing my voice, so if I sound a little hoarse, I am. I'm recording this early, and hopefully I'll have this out before Saturday. And I'm going to do a special today on the Jewish New Year coming up. And I do this every year, and I want to just kind of go over some of the Bible number stuff. I really feel compelled to do that and show you that, and then take a break from my testimony, just this little break, run this through while I get over this head cold, and I'll talk as long as I can. So with that, we'll just go ahead and get started, folks. So folks, the Jewish New Year is coming up, because this year the Jewish New Year, lunar New Year, is 5784. Last year was 5783, and before that 5782. And I do this every year. The reason I do this is because people are coming up and predicting all these things, and it's usually the same old claptrap. It's going to be a year of double blessings. It's going to be that whatever. So I'm not going to go into, I'm going to try to preserve my voice because I'm a little hoarse. I'm not going to, if you want to know how I do this and how I interpret Bible numbers, please go look back at the Bible number thing and look at the two series on, two episodes, part 1 and part 2 of Things to Come, where I go over some of this stuff and how to do the algorithms. I'm not going to really show you. I'll show you at the end of this a little bit. I just don't have time, don't have the energy right now, the way I'm feeling. And just let me give you the disclaimer. This is not rocket scientist. I've been doing this for some time, and I actually did this for this very reason, to disprove using Bible numbers. But then I found out there's something to it that I don't see anybody else doing. And in my personal opinion, very few people know how to do this, and there's some. And so now you get all these people out there saying the next Jewish lunar year is 5784. And it's coming up, and this is what they say. 5. They take the 5 and they correlate it with the meaning of the number 1, number 2, 3, 4 in the Hebrew alphabet, So since 5 is a picture graph of Behold a Revelation, so, and they say 5 is the number of grace, so we'll have a year of grace. Next year is going to be a year of grace. And 7 is perfection. And then 8 is a new era, new beginnings, and 4 is an open door. So we're going to have open doors to a new beginnings of outpourings of grace, and anything you want, peace, prosperity, a chicken in every pot. I've been hearing things like that. Or another person does, they just do the first 2 numbers, and they go, the first number is 5784 is 4. That means door. That is a door. So we have an open door. And 8 is 80, so that's 80. That's the Hebrew letter Pei, which is the picture graph, the paleo picture graph of a mouse. So this is the year when you can speak things, and it will be done for you. I've heard stuff already like this, and pretty much I'm not going to go over everybody who is talking about this stuff. So it's just not worth it. I maybe do a follow-up on this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple years ago, the lunar Jewish year and the Essenes calendar year. The Essenes calendar year is based on a solar calendar. Dr. Ken Johnson, I did an interview with him a while back. He explained this much better than I can. But basically there's about a 70-year-ish difference between the two calendars, because one's solar, one's lunar. The Essenes is more accurate, and it really is. In fact, the Essenes calendar year for our year 2025 through 2026, September there, is the year Jubilee. That's why things are stepping up. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some background. I'm not going to show you the algorithms until the last. And we're going to jump into this, and I'll comment. So with that, I want to go ahead and jump on into the screen here, get this up here. It says this is the year 5783, September 22 to 2023. Okay? And this is what I came up with year or so ago, and I was showing you how to do this. And these are algorithms. So what the algorithms of the year 5783, how do you get that? Well, you go to 5783 is simply you find the prime factor. You go on a computer, you type in 5783 in the prime factor calculator somewhere. It gives you the prime factors. You multiply them together, you add them together and in different ways, and you get numbers. And the definition of the numbers are found in the Paleo-Hebrew definition. It gives you the root definition, and the others is oh my, don't feel real good, so I'm kind of drooping here. But anyway, and you get it from, I have two websites that I go to. It's a Bible Numbers for Life and BibleStudy.org, and there's a few others. I'll try to remember to put these in the description for you so you can look them up. And then you do that, and you put the numbers and you find the meaning. And then the fourth way is you check everything and type in the number or spell it out in the translation that you are using, King James, New King James, whatever, and find out how that number is particularly used in the Bible, which will refine its meaning. So you'll have a mainstream definition, a bullet point definition that Bible Numbers for Life gives you. Okay? Just a bullet point. You get shades of definition when you do it the other way. When you go through the Bible and you find the shades of meaning, go to BibleStudy.org there and you look at that. And there's some other websites you can look at too. Stay away from angel numbers. Stay away from all that. This is not any of that garbage. And this is not Chaldean numerology. This is not numerology in the sense of a cult. I tried to disprove it, and I found out something about these particular websites that I looked up were consistent and had the same message. And there's a third one that was very good, but it's no longer in existence, and they had a really good chart. So that's how I found these. So let's continue looking at the following year before this year, and just listen to it, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so in the year 5783, lunar year, 2022 to 2023, which was about 2 years ago, it says this. This is what it means. No one prays against the hubristic that are united with each other to use the mysteries of darkness. It means occult knowledge and works to break God's moral law order by using their judgments against God's order norms, by conjuring to bring forth irresponsibility, disorder, confusion, and chaos. This is brought about by extolling and praising the virtues of failures, deficiencies, promoting bankruptcy, increasing breakdowns, exploiting disappointments, disasters, to bring about the cessation of all normal functioning, to fracture God's order, norms, and moral law. This is accomplished by introducing the destruction, ruin, theft, and death by force of arms to take total possession of everything, so their new way of life resurrects or procreates out of the ashes of the old order. Essene's calendar year tells this. It says, lying prophets, messengers of apostasy who decree judgments against faith and faithfulness in the knowledge of God, His truth, His mercy, by bursting upon the land, earth, a life lived where there are no protective restraints, boundaries, or bonds. So what I'm trying to point out here, brothers and sisters here, let me put this up here so you can hopefully see me in here. And what this is showing you here is this. We saw this 2 years ago happen. And this is a worldwide phenomenon we saw. We saw that there were the people in places of power, like the WEFers in Davos. They're there. They're doing stuff. And we see this happened in September 22 to 2023. The reason I'm doing this is I want to go on record so you can see, what I found has been consistently right with exactly what has happened and transpired. Amazingly, it even shocked me. However, what other people are saying about these Jewish years let me try to speak English, has not come to pass. It ain't working. And you can choose whoever you want to listen to. Particularly, you can take this with a grain of salt, which I suggest you do. This is not rocket scientist, and it takes a lot of work to interpret these numbers because you got to have a context. And I already have a context because all these years seem to build upon each other and actually explain what happened just a few months before, a few months after, and kind of continues on and builds up to the next year. And the same thing, it begins a little bit before, goes a little bit after, and then I correlate it. I found it be consistent with what the Essenes calendar year is as well. So with that, let's just jump right into this here and look at this. The Essenes calendar year of the upcoming year. I put this down in here, folks, from last year, and I went over it before, but I just wanted to give you a follow-up to see whose side was more accurate. So this was, and it's in that the Things to Come, part 1 and 2 in the Bible Number series. You can look it up. And it says, truth divides the house of God by creative works of worthless shepherds who open doors when the godly leadership of worthless shepherds abandoned their leadership responsibility to the flock by forsaking, deserting the message of redemption, being true to Christ and the messages of heaven and hell. These worthless shepherds opened the door pathway for rich, powerful oppressors to divide the flock. God's people, before plagues are unleashed, or before plagues begin, which produce great scarcity, so these rich, powerful oppressors become leaders who rule over the flock of all people, like a snake in the grass that sneaks up from behind to strike a deadly blow. So, I ask, you see any of that happen? You see like something sneaking up behind you, and you see a lot of the church. I mean, there are people in churches, folks, and I'm not trying to, who are saying that you don't need to pay attention to the devil. The devil is toothless, and he has no power. You just don't pay attention to it. Just go about whatever you do. It's all going to be rosy, cozy. It's all going to take care of itself. It'll all work out at the end. We've been through this and worse things before. And we read about great scarcity coming up. Now they're projecting great scarcity. It doesn't seem like we have a lot. Some places are more than others, but I think there's 35 meat packing plants combined with some, and a lot of poultry plants in that 35 plants are closing down. And they're shifting to one meat processing plant in Missouri, who, I think, in a chicken factory by, I think it's Tyson's Food in the chicken and poultry industry, and a meat packing plant, which I can't remember, and they're trying to sell plant-based products, plant-based fake meat. So you got to understand, you have rich, powerful oppressors who are geared up to create scarcity. How do you like inflation? How's that working for you? Have you got gas lately? Have you noticed that it's getting a little rougher out there? Now, all these people who said this past year was going to be a great time of retribution, because that's exactly what they said. Let's go back up and look at this. We see how these two things, if you look on your screen, you see how the Jewish lunar year seems to gel with what is being said in the solar year. It is rather remarkable when I look at that. So the question comes is, what might the following year be like? So folks, with that, let's go back and look at the Jewish lunar year 5784. What it might portend from September 23 to 24. And remember, folks, that this begins a little bit prior, before the new year starts, and then continues on maybe 6 months or so afterwards. So these overlap several months of the year. And this is what each year builds upon. The following year built to this point because the church let its guard down. So let's go back and look at this again. And so this lunar year says, truth divides the house to see who belongs to which house, God's, man's, or the devil, by opening, closing the doors, creative works, pathways, separating everyone into a new beginning or a new era. And folks, many people are saying to themselves that they feel like they are facing a new era in time. And as you look here, it says, where and when the saints of God are brought into bondage, captivity, or prison by refusing to anoint new rulership or king. Okay? I have to ask, what happened to the president of Ecuador recently? He was the opposition to the powers that be that want to rule. He's no longer alive. What happened in Brazil and their election? Who got into power? What's happening to in the United States to number 45? Think. We're seeing this played out. And this is just the beginning. It just started within about 2 to 3 months, 4 indictments, people being moved. They want to get rid of the Italian prime minister. These people are on a roll. It's there. Now let's go back and look at this. When the saints of God are brought into bondage, captivity, or prison, and by refusing to anoint a new rulership. I would add to this, because it says saints of God, or it also refers to people who refuse this new king or whatever, or rulership, will be brought into bondage, captivity, or prison. And that's what will happen. And you'll see saints of God being thrown into prison. Artur Pawlowski this just happened to over in dear old Canada. And you're seeing an attack, and they want to throw people who are Christians or whoever opposes them into prison for 700 and some odd years of their life while they let criminals and murderers go free and run rampant in their own cities. Go figure. So, which of these algorithms is more right? What other people are talking about what is last, the upcoming year is going to be a year of plenty, is going to be retribution, whatever. It's the same old hashtag they used for years prior. I've been following this stuff for some time. And, I get kind of fed up with it. But who's more accurate? You can do the algorithm too, and you will find, you can probably say this different. All I did was expand the entire course of action. I actually expanded it and made it, so that you could understand what I'm saying. I expanded all the definitions. But, anyone who's true to the King of the house of David, Jesus Christ, who will collect and gather, he will collect and gather his faithful witnesses, his righteousness, and sanctified ones unto himself. That part we're going to see. We are going to see probably in the upcoming year the remnant being in little groups and here and there, and little churches here and there, groups, maybe large churches. There are some large churches that have their act together, believe it or not, and they're rare. And people will be God's going to kind of push people together. Now, also refers to people who don't adhere to what's coming down the pike. They may not be Christian. They're conservatives, they're libertarians, whatever. They see it coming too. And this is an opportunity to get them saved. Think about it. Because they're going to say, something don't smell right up in D.C., Denmark, or wherever, Berlin, whatever, UK, whatever country you're in. And like I said before about H.P. Blavatsky going to the 7th evolutionary root stage of human development, I'm just paraphrasing what she said to make it understandable. When that transition from the 5th to the 6th happens, Americans and Western Europeans are going to be no more. They make a new race that will lead everybody into a giant step forward. Why is our military in the Western Europe so, and anybody touched by Western Europe, like Australia and New Zealand, for example, why are you putting wokeness and transandro doctrines, cramming it down people's throat? These people don't think straight. They're motivated by something else. Sorry, I'm not feeling well, folks. I'm just going to go ahead and continue this. And so the Lord's going to, like I said, he is going to begin gathering his people, and people who are not yet in his house to come into his house together. He's gathering. So this next year will be a gathering of people amongst great persecution. I wish I could tell you we're going to be rich, blessed, and have success and a great turnaround, but I don't know. If we do, we do, and if we don't, this is what's going to happen. Because so far, this has proven true. I have a track record now. I'm doing this as a track record, so you can follow if this happened next year. What I said happened the year before this happened. So now here we go. So let's continue on, and I'll wrap this up. So what will happen in this? Let's look at what will happen in the solar essence year 2023 to 2024. It says, truth divides the house of God by the creative works of worthless shepherds who open doors when the godly leadership of worthless shepherds abandon their leadership responsibility to the flock by deserting the message of redemption, being true to Christ and the messages of heaven and hell. Folks, I'm not kidding. That's what the algorithm read. When I read this and I broke it down and interpreted it, I go, wow. There's truth in that one. That's happening right now. These worthless shepherds open the door pathway for rich, powerful oppressors to divide the flock, God's people, before the plagues are unleashed, before plagues begin that produce great scarcity. Wow. That's what happened, folks. So let's just look at what might the following years be like. If you would like to know what are the next years going to be like. Let me pull this up here. The 5785, the following Jewish lunar year from 2024 to 2025. I have the algorithms up there. You can look at them. A time when people are moved or forced to unite with the hubris of the enemies of God who increase apostasy, depravity, rebellion, and anger. Their rulership causes the surrender of one's authority to the enemies of God through diseases, rebellion, theory, corruption used as a means to issue forth punishment or death against those that oppose their reigning. These rulers sit and reign by amazingly causing other people to disfigure, mar, make desolate, lie, bear false witness, beat, mock, etc., true goodness, or any who oppose their rule, reign, their corruption. And I go to this next algorithm, which involves adding things together. In loving sacrifice, suffering servants find their strength by calling on the name of Yahweh for strength, who, like faithful Jedediah, keeps their temple intact. Resisting evil pass away, they vanish, or they grow smaller. I think it means to grow smaller in number. Then many people fall away from God, causing great suffering in the days to come. Then there's another algorithm there. Watchers, watchmen, servants cry out, how long is the night? So, according to the Jewish lunar year algorithms that I did here, there's going to be, in the upcoming year, which will begin probably in full swing, we'll see some of it now, but in full swing within 3 to 4, maybe 6 months before the lunar year starts. So you will see these things happening. Folks, you'll see them. Rulers will sit and reign amazingly, causing other people to disfigure, mar, make desolate, bear false witness, beat, mock any who oppress their rule. They are right now, folks. Right now, these people are actually doing this. But we haven't seen nothing yet. If this is correct, I'm not saying it is. I'm saying if it is correct, I have reason to believe that it is, it's going to get far worse. It's going to get far worse. Okay? So let's look up at the solar essence year and wrap this up. This is rather long. Okay? Essence year, you can see all the math I did on it. Okay? So it says the house, this is a Hebrew emphatic. Grammar is the same as the Hebrew. Who is in unity with the flesh, the world, the devil, are clueless and easily led astray. With this house that opens the door to slavery, idols, and sin. These wicked ones will be destroyed, removed when they die. Okay? The creative works of the representative leadership in harmony with the devil's governing order easily leads astray the clueless, naive, unthinking wicked. This house of leaders opens the doors to idol, sin, and slavery. These wicked ones will be destroyed or removed at a appointed time. Okay? So I'm reading this twice for you so you get the impact of what I'm trying to say here, because I wrote it down here so you can and brought out the meaning a little bit more. Go to the next algorithm up here. Then the door is open to soundness, wholeness, perfection after the Lord judges and avenges the house of his saints when they receive their crowns amidst his holy angels. Those who are made mature, perfect through God's love, lovingly obey what God desires, and those who were sacrificed because they love God, awake to see God's face, will be, this is an emphatic, united together to behold God's judgment against the mystery of darkness that produces all disorder, chaos, irresponsibility, dysfunction, murder, seizing of personal property, sins, crimes, incestuous relationships, destruction of children and childhood, and open defiance against God. These two meanings line up with Revelation 19 and also in the book of Daniel as well. I'm just saying, folks. I mean, will I say this is when it will happen? No. So why do I say that? I put down the note. These two meanings line up with Revelation 19, and it appears to be a promise made to those on earth not to lose sight of this as fact during the year 5948, which might become a time of great stress unless the church gets its act together. The basic biblical principle that's found is God always sends messengers. He sends the message out. He sends warnings. You see the last warning given in Revelation chapter 2 and 3 to the 7 churches at the end time that exist at the end time period. During the Laodicean age, all 7 exist. 5 have to repent, 2 don't. The church is messed up. And the reason why that comes is the time without remedy has reached. If you don't know what that means, look up 2 Chronicles. I think it's the last chapter, I think 36. Memory serves me right. I think it's verses 14 through 18, somewhere in there. It tells you about the time without remedy. God always sends messengers, warnings. If the church gets it together, stops bringing the occult works into the church, stops with the New Age movement, sits there, reassess where they're getting this, things will work out. Okay, there are people out there, and I hear them all the time. They say, God gave me this number 111 or 333 or 222. I'm going to use 222. So I have people say, God gave them a ministry call of 222. What does that mean, Brian? And they interpret it, and it's like, you are off base by a million miles. You know what that means? 222 in biblical numbers, the root meaning means they come in league with the harlot system. I don't have it all broken down here for you, but basically it is somebody who is going to bring people into the house of the harlot, thinking they're doing God great service. So you'll see triple numbers like this, or 4 numbers in a row. Don't pay attention to them. That is designed to get you off base and off track. And, people just need to realize that. With that, I got to quit because I'm not feeling real well and I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. I do have a low-grade fever, and I know this is a short video, but I wanted to try to leave something for you guys to enjoy. So with that, do you think what I say is coming to pass? Yeah, some of it's already started, but we'll just wait till if this is correct, what's coming down the pike. And so I'm saying this as a testimony there. Now, if the Lord comes back and we're not here, hallelujah, then the meaning has a different meaning because he did snatch us out of here. But what I'm seeing, according to what I've read so far from about 2016-ish on up to in our calendar year to current date, this all fits. It's like, wow, this is like I'm reading prophecy, and I'm no prophet. This is just. Is something to this stuff? I don't know. You can answer me that. But again, this is not the reason why I say it's not the occult, because it honors Jesus and points right to Jesus, mentions Jesus, and tells you to lovingly obey the Lord Jesus Christ and how Jesus is going to defeat it, and things that are said there line up with things that will happen prophetically in the end times when the saints are gathered together to judge the wicked in the book of Daniel. Talks about what I just read about Revelation 19 happening. They're going, let me go back and show that to you and close real quick here. Okay, let's go back and read it. The creative works of the representative leadership in harmony with the devil's governing order easily leads astray the clueless, the naive, and unthinking, and the wicked. This house of leaders opens the doors to idol worship, sin, and slavery. These wicked ones will be destroyed or removed at an appointed time. And let's take that out of there. Implies after they die. Then the door opens in soundness, wholeness, perfection, after the Lord judges and avenges the house of his saints when they receive their crowns amidst his holy angels. Those who are made mature, perfect through God's love, lovingly obey what God desires, and those who are sacrificed because they love God, awake to see God's face, will be in, this is an emphatic, two threes here, united together to behold God's judgment against the mystery of darkness that produces all disorder, chaos, irresponsibility, dysfunction, murder, seizing of personal property. Seizing of personal property. The mystery of darkness seizes personal property in open defiance against God. There comes a time of judgment. I think this is trying to help us understand something that we're going to see leading up to things. A real big push to seize personal property, because the mystery of darkness, or a Luciferian, is to seize property. And it's just coming out. Roman just put out a video. I haven't, and I suggest you watch it, about what happened in Maui, and how these people are jumping in to buy property that just burned down. A fire was there, but the actual big fires were 10 or 20 miles away up one side of the volcano there, where a sugar plantation used to be, or factory, a sugar factory. I was in Maui in the 1990s, and I remember I actually went into the sugar factory there and kind of looked around. They had some interesting, a little museum there, and they were shutting it down, so they shut it down. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting. And then this place and seizing of property. Well, hope you enjoyed this. Tell me what you think before I lose my voice. I better go or I'll start coughing, because I have a low-grade fever and I don't feel well. So pray that I get better, and I'll see you in the next Saturday if the creek don't rise. And I'll get back into my testimony. That you be blessed in Jesus' name.